Okay, here we are. Alt.nerd.obsessive. Worst episode ever.
Hey everybody, welcome to Worst Episode Ever, a podcast for people who love The Simpsons, by people of The Simpsons, about how much we hate The Simpsons. We're here trying to find which is the worst episode ever. And as always, my name is Dan.
My name is Jack.
And today we are back with another episode called The Trilogy of Error from Season 12, originally aired April 29th, 2001. Jack, have you seen this one?
Yeah, I've seen this a bunch of times. I am shocked at season, what do you say, 12?
12, yeah.
This feels like a season 9 to me. This felt like right after I said the show was post-classic, it felt like a new, an early post-classic.
Yeah,
Which
yeah.
season 12 is. I was surprised. I would have said 9 or 10.
Yeah, I mean, Season 12 is generally pretty good. It fared pretty well so far on our rankings.
Has it?
I think,
the African one. And...
Simpson Safari, not a great episode, but we like the one. It was like the 6th one we did with Michael Keaton.
Oh, that was a good one. Yeah, Michael Keaton. That we started his comeback.
We did. That was the Keatonassiance.
That was right before. The Keatonassiance.
Yeah, the Keatonassiance.
Now he's doing Vulture and McDonald's.
Yep.
You're welcome, Keaton.
Those are the names of the movies. Vulture and McDonald's.
We're going to get Val Kilmer on next.
Val Kilmer is ready for a comeback,
he needs
I
a
think.
bump.
Yeah, absolutely. We'll give him the old wee bump. But yeah, Trilogy of Error, I have seen this one a few times, but not in probably the past decade and a half, maybe. Maybe not. I've seen it a few times, but not really
Recently.
in a long time.
You don't go out of your way.
No.
You're a busy man. You've been married since then.
It's
you got
true.
a nice job as a law.
I've had a lot of my life has changed
your
a lot
life
since
has changed a
Trilogy of
lot.
Error.
And when you're married and you're practicing law, you don't think, I'm going to watch Trilogy of
You
Error
know what?
tonight.
What's Linguo up to? I'm going to check it out. But we're going to see. Let's see if it holds up. I mean, we remember it pretty well. I think, we needed a break after the Italian Bob was so terrible that we kind of wanted to watch an episode that maybe is good. Maybe instead of a bottom shooter, let's go for a top shooter.
Yeah, if the name
we'll
doesn't...
see.
The chances are you've seen this. You, Dan, you, the
Yeah,
listener.
I have seen it. I just said it.
You just said it repeatedly. No, there's a very good chance you've seen this one. It's the one that's broken up into 3 stories told twice.
Right.
Told once each.
Three stories told twice.
It's Trilogy of Error. But it's that one with Lisa running and Linguo the robot.
Right.
You know
like the movie Go or like Run Lola Run.
Exactly.
Or, a lot of 90s thrillers used this kind of conceit of different times, like Pulp Fiction.
Yeah.
Anyway, we'll take a break. We're going to watch Trilogy of Error. If you have not watched it, you can do so on simpsonsworld.com or wherever you're getting your episodes from. And we're going to take a break with the Trilogy of Error.
I'm sorry, I'm so sorry.
Sorry doesn't put thumbs on the hand, Bart.
Well, calm down. If we hurry, they can reattach your thumb.
Reattach your thumb? This isn't Gattaca.
So that was Trilogy of Error.
It sure was. Jack.
Great episode. It's better than I remembered.
Yeah, I mean, we'll see how the rankings bear out, but we
got potential.
We were laughing it up here in Wii Studios.
We got a potential LWEE, right?
We'll see. LWEE?
Least worst episode ever?
Yeah.
Was that how you pronounce it?
Worst
Louis?
episode ever. LWEE. I
Oh,
like
Louis.
it.
Louis.
You're going to die. Is that what it is?
Yeah, I had a funny rhyme pump
no,
that I was going to
sorry.
switch it up. It's all right. You could step on all the jokes. It's
Oh,
fine.
that's good. Perfect. I'm so happy that you said that.
So, quick plot recap. What's going on here? So, basically, Homer wakes up in the morning. It's breakfast. He's excited about breakfast because he likes to eat. And Marge introduces Mucilex.
Mucinex.
Yeah, some kind of European
Well, we'll talk about it.
healthy,
Mucilex.
oatmeal. I guess that's too specific for a plot recap. But anyway, he doesn't like it, and Lisa says, "Hey, I've got this grammar robot I built for my science fair, Linguo," and she uses that as a distraction to get them out of eating breakfast, defending Marge. Then she goes off to the science fair with her robot, and Marge is cutting brownies.
She's cutting brownies, yeah.
And she accidentally cuts off Homer's thumb. Let me start over. Quick recap of the plot. Marge cuts off Homer's thumb. And basically, the episode is just this madcap race to get him to the hospital before his thumb rots, I guess, and you can reattach it. And he puts it in a bowl of ice.
And a series of unfortunate events unfold.
The dog takes it. He chases it from Santa's little helper. Then Marge drives. She gets into a crash with Rainier Wolfcastle. They have to steal his Ferrari. Then they get to Moe's to get some more ice, and Homer gets drunk, and Marge disappears, and now Homer is stuck and has to get to the hospital. He finds he hitchhikes with Cletus.
Yep.
Cletus's truck gets stolen, and then finally he just doesn't make it to the hospital, and he throws his thumb away, and then suddenly there's an explosion, and Linguo, Lisa's grammar robot, lands into the field and dies in front of her. And so all right, where to start?
Where to start? I mean,
can we start with the start with the opening shot? It's a garbage truck coming by.
Yep.
And picking up with its arm claw. And I saw that in The Simpsons all the time. I've seen it in other things. I didn't realize until I was about 20 years old. That's a real thing. In L.A., I saw a truck do it, and it blew my mind.
I've never seen that.
That's what I'm saying.
We don't have that in New York.
If you listen to the show and you're used to that we don't have that. Maybe the streets are too narrow, the trash is too close together.
I guess then everyone would have to have the same garbage can and
you're right.
Specific type.
Yeah, that's not how California does it. I know they're very nanny state.
They're all.
They just tell you what kind of trash cans.
Lefty socialists out there in California.
I would be nice though. Well, I guess it doesn't matter to us. It's the garbage. It's just saving.
It's the garbage man's
work.
fault.
Yeah.
The garbage man can, Jack. The garbage.
Actually,
man
it would
can.
save us time because garbage men always when they're in a bad mood or whatever, they just throw your pants.
That's true.
Yeah, to always go and pick up the remains of your pails.
It would cut so much time at the garbage can store. Like you're always being like, "Ooh, this is a good one."
Should I get this one?
But that's a nicer one.
Should I get the 80 gallon or the 79 liters?
How many gallons of trash do we generate?
A lot, because we're Americans.
I've been computing that amount so many times. Buying those garbage cans, it's tough.
The future generations are going to hate us for the amount of garbage we made.
Yes, that's very true. So Homer wakes up, and he is in the bathroom, kind of just got out of the shower. He's singing a little bit. But Homer comes down to breakfast.
Yeah, well, if he starts running, Marge goes, breakfast! And Homer runs, and it pauses on him and says, Homer's day with a ding!
Right.
Obviously, Coyote reference, which I appreciated.
Oh yeah, like the bit they did in I think season 4, where it was Homer was running and they stop and there's like the fake Latin
name. You get the fake Latin names, yeah.
I can't think of it off the top of my head right now, but yeah,
Homer
it was
Simpson
funny.
That wasn't it. But
Right, well, it was like Bart was like Bradius, eat my shortiest or something like that. Yeah, definitely the same sound effect.
Big Coyote fan, so appreciate it, even if it was just a token. I mean, you're going to do a freeze frame, you might as well add the ding.
Sure, yeah, definitely. So Homer comes down for breakfast, and he's upset because breakfast is a new cereal from Europe that Marge has called Mueslix. That's not the real name, right? It's Muesli. Right? Like Bruce Lee.
Oh, maybe. I don't know. I'm getting it confused with Mucinex and Mucilix.
Maybe that's the joke. It was a mix of muesli and Mucinex.
I don't know.
Because it was very mucusy.
I just started eating oatmeal this week, actually. I'm trying to be cheap.
I had oatmeal this
healthy,
morning, and I never eat oatmeal.
I got like the gluten-free. Not because I don't give a shit about gluten. It's just the one I could find that didn't have chemicals in it.
Right.
I like it. I forgot how much I appreciate a good oatmeal.
Yeah,
I miss my bacon, egg, and cheese.
Of course.
I'm getting fat, so.
I feel like oatmeal, you have to add so much, it makes it unhealthy. Because plain oatmeal is inedible.
You get the plain oatmeal and just put in the blueberries.
No.
Yeah,
I put honey, cinnamon, sugar. I put cocaine. It's very, very involved.
Those are all natural ingredients.
I guess we really woke it up.
That's how Freet came about.
Yeah, that's exactly
You were doing
right.
lines of oatmeal.
Yeah, so Homer comes
they're
down.
not happy about eating it.
Yeah, they're not happy, and basically we hear the doorbell ring, and Bart is like, oh, it's Milhouse, and he must have big news, and Bart runs away, and it's whatever. But then Lisa is also, it's kind of interesting, Lisa also doesn't want to eat the fancy,
she's
healthy cereal.
Vegetarian or vegan or whatever she is, but I guess crappy food is crappy food.
I guess so. So she says, don't worry, Dad, I've got this. And she's like, hey, Dad, you want to go see my science fair project?
I think she might wink at him.
I think so. And then he goes, no, but I sure don't want to eat this crappy breakfast. And then
he winks at her. One of my favorite lines.
Yeah, that was really funny.
I'm surprised at how many lines from this episode are lines. We've talked about this before. The lines that we quote.
Yeah,
and we talked about how the season 12 we don't consider classic era, but there's season 12 lines that we kind of just loop. They're in the same part of our brain as our favorite season 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8 lines.
Sure.
And I was surprised at how many lines were in this that are in that.
Yeah, that's in there. We'll get to it a little later in Homer's day when Dr. Nick says flammable means inflammable, or actually it's the other way around.
Right,
but
right. Yeah, there's a bunch.
Season 12 on the whole, like I would say, on average, it's not a great season, but the highs are very high.
Yeah, just like us when we do our lines.
Just
of
like
oatmeal.
us when I'm eating my cocaine oatmeal. That's like that Buck Cherry song where it's like, I love the oatmeal. I love my oatmeal.
Never yet original, can't mix it with fruit.
Oh, man.
That's why it's called buck cherry.
Oh, okay. That makes sense.
That's a flavor of oatmeal.
It's Buck Cherry flavored oatmeal. So Lisa shows Homer Linguo, which is her science fair
I
robot.
do want to mention, Homer also winks at Marge as they leave, like as if she's in on it.
Yeah, you're right.
I just love that whole gag.
Yeah, that's a great Homer is an idiot gag.
Yeah,
Where
exactly.
He's
not a jerk ass.
He's not a jerk.
I mean, he's kind of a jerk ass to Marge.
I mean,
But it's not as
it's not like Marge.
Maleficent?
It's not like Maleficent. What are you trying to say? Malignant?
Malicious.
Malicious.
Man, it took
Yeah.
a minute.
It took a minute. It's all that cocaine.
It's all like that Angelina Jolie movie.
Yeah, right. No, but at least Marge didn't make the breakfast. It was just like something she bought, and it's not like
it was
he's
a poor
insulting
choice.
her.
Poor shopping choice.
Right, and then Homer's just a dope with no social
Yeah,
graces,
exactly.
which is
It was
what we
great.
like.
And it was a very funny, overbearing Homer voice. The over.
Yeah.
I'll take over sarcastic over explaining any day.
Absolutely,
Not over
100%.
sarcastic. You know what I mean?
Right,
The
the
pretending.
no, Lisa.
Yeah, exactly.
Wink. That's
the name of the voice. Yeah.
the no Lisa Wink
No,
voice.
Lisa Wink voice. Yeah.
I love that voice. So then we get Lisa showing Homer Linguo.
who looks a lot like Bender.
He does look like a Tinker Toy made Bender.
Yeah.
Yeah, definitely
And
a
this was
Bender
Futurama
vibe.
was out.
Futurama was out. This was 2001, so Futurama
I
was
know
out for
it's
2 years.
it's a go-to easy robot.
Yeah,
Yeah, sure.
I mean, especially in The Simpsons,
Exactly, yeah.
It didn't look exactly like Bender, but there's definitely a Bender
I
comparison.
guess I'm asking, was it intentional? I'm saying probably not.
Probably not, because the only Bender type thing that happens is Homer feeds it beer, which breaks Linguo.
It never goes, bites my shiny.
Yeah,
metal
right,
hands."
right. Yeah, so Linguo is Lisa's science fair project, and it's a robot that corrects your grammar. And now that I'm saying that, I'm interested.
I wish I had one. That's
I
amazing.
kind of wish I had one too.
Because my autocorrect on my things, not autocorrect, the ones where it underlines the lines, spell check.
Yeah.
It's not great with grammar.
It's kind of funny that Linguo is an actual robot too, as opposed to
An AI.
like an
or-
app or something. I guess obviously
Yeah.
in 2001
There's
they
no
didn't
app.
have that.
Yeah, there's no
So-
deep mind. Yeah, you're right. Now it would just be an app.
It would
an
be like
application, yeah.
that stupid app she made in the shitty episode we watched a couple of weeks ago.
Yeah, exactly.
What's his name? Like Watson? That's not Watson. Watson's a real
Rodrigo-
thing. Rodrigo Santoro, star of Westworld. Let's get back to talking about Linguo. So yeah, Linguo is a robot that will correct your grammar, and there's a funny bit where he says, Linguo, me love beer. He says that's what
Yeah.
Homer says, and Linguo's like, I love beer, and that kind of sets up the whole recurring thing about Linguo. Yeah, I can't even speak right now. I need Linguo.
You need a Linguo.
Really. The whole recurring bit about him correcting people's grammar. So it starts off well, and he feeds it beer, and obviously breaks it, and Linguo's error.
Yeah.
Just the voice of Linguo,
Hank
I really
Azaria
like.
does a good
He
robot
does a great
voice.
robot
He's done
voice.
it before.
Yeah.
Similar iterations of it. Homer feeding beer to a toy robot is very funny.
Yeah,
very
definitely.
funny visual. So anyway, Lisa goes off to the science fair. Marge is cooking brownies. Homer wants to steal one. She's
Right.
cutting the brownies, and she cuts his thumb off.
She cuts his thumb off.
And it's scroofic.
I wrote essentially the same thing. I didn't write it scroofic, but it was
You
very.
wrote, it's too thick.
It's too thick, guys. No, it was like there's a lot of blood, and you see the bone.
You see the bone, yeah.
Like I actually really liked the animation. It was jarring, but it was supposed to be jarring. I
Right.
mean, Homer's fucking thumb was just
Yeah,
cut
and
off.
there's blood spurting out like
Yeah.
Kill Bill, yeah.
And it's not treated like a situation where Lenny gets the coin in his brain, and it's just
They
like,
just move on, yeah. This
Right.
is a serious
This
thing. You have
is-
to go to the hospital.
Yeah, this is the plot. Like
You're
Homer
right.
has to go to the
I didn't
hospital.
even think about that. If this was like a season 28, there was a very good chance if they hadn't built the episode around this, his thumb would have cut off, and then they would have moved on.
Right. And then just at the end of the episode, some throwaway joke,
Yeah.
if even that.
Yeah, good old duct tape. You could solve everything.
You can fix everything. Groofic and Toofic say.
Don't forget to bring your duct tape. You'll need it in the race wars.
Oh, God. Which,
No, too big. No, no. Don't leave a groove hanging.
don't leave a groove hanging. I love it.
Somebody make that a logo. Make it a motivational poster. Don't leave a groove hanging. And it's just a cat hanging. It's a Grufik hanging from a.
I love it. So Gruffik's a cat now.
Yeah, I mean,
He's a cat monster.
Grufik must be long dead by now.
I don't even. Yeah, that's right.
Anyway, so this has another line I remember.
Yep, I know
and it's one of
exactly
my
what you're gonna
favorite
say.
lines where Marge is just like, "I'm so sorry." She's freaking out too.
Yeah.
I'm so sorry, and Homer just goes, "Sorry doesn't put thumbs on the hands."
Yeah, that's actually not the line I thought you were going to say, because the line I like, that's a great line,
Yeah.
but I liked where she says, we're going to go to the hospital and they can reattach it. And he goes, reattach a thumb? This isn't Gattaca.
Great line.
Great line. I loved it.
Also, never watched Gattaca in full. I've
it's a good movie.
seen chunks of it here and there.
I've
I
only
remember
seen
a
it
guy
once.
with 12 fingers. I guess that's what the reference was.
I guess that, I don't remember that guy with 12
He
fingers.
played piano.
I remember the end, pretty much.
He's a piano
Didn't save anything for the way back,
prodigy.
Jack.
Is that a
Didn't save
line?
anything from the way back.
I don't remember the movie.
It's a line from the end of the movie.
That was like Jude Law's breakout role, right?
Yeah.
He's
Jude
Young
Law,
Pope. By
Ethan
the way,
Hawke.
Young Pope. Did you watch it?
I did not watch
I've been
Young
so
Pope.
excited about it.
Did
I
you
watched
watch?
it. Yep, lived up to expectations. It's so batshit crazy.
That's what I heard. I read, I think the
so much
Times
fun.
review was like, it's either completely boring or just like insanely fascinatingly weird.
Yeah, it's very weird. It feels like a Fellini film almost. I mean, it's very much
so
of.
bizarre.
I can't remember the guy who created it, but it's very much of his style.
it's
I
like,
don't know his style.
It's like Italiano, Italian.
Lots of pizzas, lots of Mambo Italiano playing. That's it. It's just Young Pope going. It's like we should allow abortions, and everybody's like,
Yeah.
And he goes, "Mama loves Mambo."
By the way, I don't know if you even noticed, but the name to this character that I've prescribed was Italiano Mick Italian, which is not really an Italian
Well,
name.
it's you. You're Italian Irish.
You know what? That's
You're
right.
Italian. You're Italiano.
I'm an
Mick
Italiano Mick Italian.
What does that make me? Italiano?
I guess so. Hey, Mambo.
It's Italiano di Italiano.
There you go.
you
That
go.
makes sense. Enjoy this deleted scene.
Or is it in there?
Or is it in? Sometimes you
don't
throw me
know.
off, Jack.
Sometimes I moved on and I didn't feel like hitting the 30-second back button
That's fine.
because I was eating while I was editing. That's how the show gets made.
That's how the sausage gets made,
That's why
folks.
Krupik stayed in the first time, had a hot dog.
You're like, this won't come back to ruin us later.
I was doing lines of oatmeal and I couldn't
right.
get to the keyboard to stop Freet.
Nothing can stop Freet, Jack. You should have known that.
I mean, the lack of eating would have.
No, it wouldn't have.
So she calls 911, and there's a lot. This is the first of many great Wiggum moments in this episode.
Yeah,
Wiggum goes,
well,
"Oh,
Yeah, well, just really quick, I just want to say, we'll talk about the specifics of the Wiggum moment, but I love the idea. So Santa's little helper takes the thumb, and Homer's off
right.
chasing the thumb from Santa's little helper. Meanwhile, Marge, obviously, the first thing you do is call 911.
in real life, when you cut your
Right.
thumb off, that's what you do.
That's what I did.
That's the number for it.
When I
Yeah.
cut your thumb off, I called 911.
You broke my window, and I lost my thumb.
One of these things actually happened. But yeah, what I really liked about it was, we'll talk about what happens in a second, but it establishes why they need to get themselves to the hospital. There's a story reason for calling 911
Yeah.
and for why there's no ambulance coming.
And it leads to a lengthy-ish gag with Wiggum, but it's, like you said, it's story integrated, and it's
Yeah.
great. And Wiggum just goes, 911, this better be good,
Yeah.
which that's a great classic Wiggum.
Classic Wiggum.
Doesn't want to be a cop. He doesn't want to be bothered.
Doesn't
He
wanna
just
do any
wants-
work.
Wants to do their squirrel pants things. And yeah, so yeah, I just love that line, 911, this better be good.
Yeah.
I forget what he has a funny exchange with her. I can't remember.
Well, because she says, I accidentally cut my husband's thumb off, and he's like, attempted murder.
That's
Well,
right.
Give me your address so I can arrest you. You're going to, I like this line, you're going to burn for this. Burn in jail. So then Marge says, he says, give me your address. And she says, 123 Fake Street.
which is the best fake
the
name
best
ever.
fake address you could possibly come up with. And and that's why, he's like, we're going to come over to arrest you. And that's why there's
She hangs up and freaks out. Yeah.
Right. And then they're like, we got to get ourselves to the hospital.
Yeah,
which I like.
although Homer's right now in Flanders chasing the dog.
This is also a funny scene.
Yeah, the kids are reading Harry Potter,
So he's reading Harry Potter to Rod or Todd, whichever the older
and
one
it's
is.
not
And it was-
Benjamin de Bompton.
Wait a minute. What's Benjamin de Bompton?
Remember the Curious Case of Benjamin de Bompton?
I missed that one.
from our New Year's
I don't
fake episodes.
What's that? I guess I don't. I was drunker than I
It
thought
was
I was.
Tender as the Night, not the Great Fatsby, and Benjamin de Bompton. I put a lot of work into those. You need to memorize each one
I'm sorry, Jack. That's my bad.
for future callbacks.
Yeah, he's reading actual Harry
It's
Potter.
not. So we're gonna
Angelica Button's
we're start
listed.
going to use it. We call it the cosmic warsification.
Right.
But we'll borrow our line from our new Australian friends at Simpsons Index and say
Parallel imports.
I already forgot it.
It's parallel imports.
That's it.
Simpsons Index Pop.
Well, we got to shorten. That's too long,
I know, it's
especially all the L's in parallel. Palports?
Palports, sure. That
That
works.
sounds like a friendly shipping.
Where are your Palports? You need to ship something? Send it to Palports. We'll get it where it gotta go.
You sound like one of those outtake commercials from Rick and Morty. yeah, we're Palports. We got all your ports needs, and and then just start laughing.
Hi, I'm Anson My Eyes Johnson. Now I'm
What a
just
great
doing
show.
Now I'm just doing bits from Rick and Morty.
That's right out of the show.
Yeah, that is a verbatim line from Justin Roiland's mouth.
But yeah, so I guess this was pre Cosmic Warsification, pre Palports.
It was, and the whole gag was Flanders reading Harry Potter to his kids, and it's like Harry and all of his friends went to hell, I think, for being witches.
Yeah, exactly. Very,
I like that. Very
born,
funny.
very Christian. They're playing with trains too.
Well, right before that, Homer runs in. He's chasing Santa's little helper, and I like this line where Flanders just goes, "What's the Dillio?" Nothing.
I like that mess song with the Dillio.
You know, that song does not hold up if you listen to it now.
I listened to it yesterday.
Did
as
you
a matter of
really?
fact. Yeah,
Oh,
I was
boy.
going through my iTunes library, crafting a new playlist.
Yeah.
And I was going alphabetically, and I'm up to M.
If you don't know what we're talking about, Mest, M-E-S-T, was a pop
Matter,
punk band.
Earth, Space-Time?
Space-Time. They were a pop punk band from the late 90s,
Very
early
pop
2000s.
punk. Very, very pop punk.
They're not
And
very good.
They were like my favorite band.
I was very into them when
at
I was
the time,
in high school.
yeah. And they had a song, "What's the Dillio?
Dillio. What's the deal?
Deal." It was terrible.
We just gave you the
That's-
bit you need to know.
that's-
You don't have to listen
They
to the
literally
song.
built an entire career. They're probably still doing shows right now based on
Probably.
that one line.
I think they probably are.
Drawing Board was a very good song.
Drawing Board was and still. I was just talking to somebody about this actually earlier this week.
Now listening to it, it's so like, oh my god, this is embarrassing. But it's still craft-wise,
catchy
it's a
song.
very catchy song.
Yeah.
Back to the drawing board
with the words read a million times before
in your head.
That's the exact. That's how the song goes.
That's a song.
That's it.
It's very clever.
But what you were talking about with the train is Rod is playing with some kind of train set, and Homer just crushes it when he gets his. And
It's so violent.
It's so violent and it's so quick because it just cuts to Rod crying, and then we're out. We're
no
just in
line,
another scene.
No, like extra beat. It's just
Yeah.
him crying. That's the beat.
That's it, and that is something that this episode did so
very
well.
tight.
This is a very tight episode. It's just get the gag out and we're gone. There's no extra beat alarms
I was
at all.
going to talk about this near the end, but we can say it now and come
well-
back to it. But it reminded me of an Arrested Development episode.
Yeah.
In that it crammed so much plot and so much jokes
Yeah.
into a 22-minute. That's very hard to do.
Definitely, yeah.
I mean, if you watch Arrested Development, that's live action. That's even harder. Compared to any other sitcom, just count how many scene changes there are, how many location changes.
Yeah.
And it's like
Tough.
triple, quadruple the typical show.
Yep.
They got 60 scenes in a 22. That's
why
very
it
hard
was
to do.
good.
And this reminded me of the way classic Simpsons used to do it. It's even more faster paced than classic Simpsons.
Definitely. So then
They've
Homer
said-
and Marge
yeah.
get in the car.
Yeah, they put his thumb in ice.
They put us on ice, which is what you're supposed to do.
I remember, I think it was CBS. It was some 10 p.m. network show about doctors or a medical school that was like in Hawaii.
Okay.
And like they were in paradise. Can't remember what it was like. Doctors in paradise. I
Talking
don't know.
about Saved by the Bell Hawaiian style?
No, but it was these doctors and like they live in paradise, but it's still like a Chicago Hope ER type show.
Yeah.
And this guy's thumb gets cut off, and he's got it in ice, and he's trying to get across the Hawaiian island to the other hospital.
Okay.
And he stops at like the tiki bar to put more ice in it, and I don't know why. But this show probably ran for half a season or whatever before it got canceled. And that's
Yeah.
the one thing I remember from the entire show.
Interesting.
Was him putting more ice in to get in the thumb or toe.
I'm kind of surprised that show didn't take off. I don't remember it
It's
at
a
all.
great idea,
But like,
yeah.
like Doctors in Hawaii. Much better than like, what they got?
Doctors in Vietnam
Chicago.
War, the doctors in the Korean War. That's a terrible
Yeah, that's
idea.
a terrible
That
idea.
won't last.
No one will watch that for 11 seasons.
Yeah, that's the one thing I remember. Anyway, that's anytime I see a thumb in ice, that's what I think of.
Yeah,
I
yeah.
think of that show.
So they crash into Rainier Wolfcastle's Lamborghini, which he calls a Lamborghini,
Yeah, it's not a
Lamborghini.
Palport.
Yeah. And I thought it was funny. He immediately just gets out and just takes out a golf club and just starts smashing the car.
What is he, Tiger Woods' wife?
Yeah, right.
Hey-oh.
Oh, topical, but also
Not really.
several years
Yeah,
later.
It's
I don't
not
know.
topical. That's
not topical at
opposite
all.
of topical.
Politics? Does that make
No,
it a joke?
It's not political.
It's a callback to last time.
I'm not going to remember that because you didn't remember Benjamin
Benjamin de
Bompton.
Bompton. Yeah, that's
Now I got to
fair.
leave that in.
Yeah.
Hopefully I
just-
was
just
eating.
Just cut all of this. But yeah, I actually thought it was also fun that Marge was the one who was stealing Rainier Wolfcastle's car, and she refers to it as borrowing his car.
And it's in
which is kinda
character.
cute.
Even though Homer and Bart would be the ones to steal, she has a mission: save her homie's
Protect her husband.
thummy.
She cut his thumb off.
Yeah.
Protect her homie's thummy.
So yeah, she just the means justify the end, and she stole the Porsche.
Yeah. So
Ferrari.
they make it to Dr. Hibbert. And you mentioned this when we were watching the episode. We don't get
We
enough
don't get
Dr.
a lot.
Hibbert these
We
days.
were excited because we had a great Hibbert scene in our like 5th or 4th episode ever that we covered.
Yeah.
And we were like, wow, Hibbert was great in this. And I can't think of many Hibbert scenes since then.
Yeah, me neither.
He seems to have taken a back seat to post-classic where now it's a lot of extra Mo and extra
Sure.
Wiggum.
Yeah. And I mean, we only have about 30 seconds with Hibbert here, but
And he's
pretty
great.
much everything he says is great.
And it's classic Hibbert.
where they want to get the thumb attached, and he's like, "Oh, you have finger insurance, but a thumb is not a finger."
And we
which is
talked
funny.
about this last week too. It's with the cheese insurance. It's just another great jab at how insurance
always
companies
get
always
ya.
fuck. They really do. I get, as part of my health insurance at work, I get a free pair of glasses every year as part of my vision insurance.
Yeah. I
I
get
can't
that too.
figure it out. I've been on the website. I've been talking to people. All I keep getting are these 10% coupons. Where's my free glasses? They make
I think
it.
you have to go to the optometrist.
Yeah, I gotta call and go to the doctor.
I got
Just
a good
give me-
one right down the street.
Okay.
They'll take care of you. You
Tell
tell
him
them you
Dan-
know me.
I know Dan Mulhall.
And I was like,
I know Italian McIrish. Oh, right
Oh.
this way.
Top of the morning to you, hey!
Have a Guinness Parmesan.
St. Patrick chased those snakes out of Ireland and had a chicken parmigiano.
Anyway,
Anyway, and then the other great Hibbert line was he just says, "Well, I could cut your other thumb off for a sense of symmetry."
yeah, because like, what else
Which I
can we
thought
do?
was funny. Yeah, what else can we do?
That's a great line.
Great
Great
stuff. And then we're in and we're out. And then
All very solid stuff. And it's just like next. They go to Moe's. They stop at Moe's
they
to get more
they
ice.
need more ice. Makes sense, you
Just
know.
like the Hawaiian doctors.
Just like the Hawaiian doctors, they ran out of ice. The ice is all melting. Of course, you would go to Moe's. That's they know Mo.
They know
Mo has
Mo.
ice.
It's easy to. You can't just go to a random diner you don't know and be like,
Right.
"Hey, can I get
I
some
need ice
It's-
for my finger.
It's too awkward.
Mo's not going to ask
Yeah,
questions.
no.
He's had his fair share of
And-
medical emergencies.
And it's not post-classic rapey Mo. It's Mo who has this dingy bar and does things in a kind of dingy but friendly way.
Right.
And this fits perfectly. He basically goes, "Yeah, put it in the brine with the pickled eggs."
Right, and that's kind of the only Mo joke. It's not that he raped someone or something. It's that you'd expect a bar to have ice, but he doesn't have
Yeah.
ice. All he has is pickle brine, which is terrible for your thumb. But
Yeah.
that's what they put Homer's
but
thumb in.
that's how you would. That's exactly what you would do in Moe's if you had to put your thumb somewhere to preserve it. That's it.
Yeah.
It's not. Hey, yeah. Let me go put that in a woman's butt.
That's the best place for things. Is it
Yeah,
butts?
I like to finger butts, but I don't like to use my own fingers because then they smell like poop.
So I cut off other people's fingers and jam them in there.
I'm American Psycho. I cut off hamsters and put them in women's vaginas.
There is an idea of Mo Sislak, but there is no real me.
Here's a chapter on Genesis, the band.
I have to return some videotapes. But
No, it's not that.
it's not that. It's
good, Mo.
It's much better than that. But then Homer gets drunk. He has this line where he's saying the Blue Man Group is a ripoff of the Smurfs, and
wasn't
the Smurfs,
crazy
they
about
suck.
this drunk Homer speech.
It's fine.
Didn't have any.
In a very funny episode, this was one of the weaker things.
This felt like a placeholder joke. Like, all right, Homer does some
Yeah.
kind of drunk rant, and they never came up with anything good.
Yeah. But then he comes out. Marge is gone.
Barney wakes him up with coffee.
Yeah, that's
he goes,
true.
I'll wake him up, and he has a pot of coffee. Maybe now Barney's sober at this time.
I couldn't tell. Yeah.
But I thought they were setting up a joke, and I thought he was just going to have this full pot of coffee, and then he was just going to smash it over Homer's head to wake him up. I was anticipating this. That's funny. And he just gives him the coffee. That's not.
Yeah, there wasn't much of a gag.
I know coffee wakes you up, but that's not a gag.
Right. Homer just gets fired up and runs out and finds that Marge is gone.
Yeah, imagine if Back to the Future 3, they give him that potion to wake up Doc, and he just goes, all right, let's go.
Not much of a movie then.
3, 4.
So yeah, Homer goes out and then he realizes he's going to have to hitchhike to the hospital, and pretty funny, he has no thumb, so it's
So the
tough.
cars won't stop.
Cars aren't stopping.
That's what he's not pointing out. It's that's a great thumb
That's
gag.
a great gag. Like,
great missing thumb gag.
one of the first things that you would think of if, like, all right, a guy doesn't have to have a thumb and needs to get somewhere. Perfect.
Yeah, no,
Love it.
it's so smart. And, we talked about this even, again, last week with the Simpsons Go to Italy, where, all right, they're in Italy. What's a bunch of Italy jokes they can do?
Right.
You have a missing thumb. What's a bunch of missing thumbs jokes you can do? But these the difference is these are well thought out. They're not just thrown in there. It ties into the story.
It ties into the story. Yeah, it makes sense. It's not just cheese. That's an Italian thing.
Yeah, exactly.
Let's list off a bunch of cheeses.
No, it was everything was so well integrated.
Yeah. So Cletus stops and Cletus gives him a ride, and they go to Dr. Nick's, and Dr. Nick's is on fire.
Yeah, there's like firefighters are there already, and there's a tank.
Yeah, and Dr. Nick has a great line where he just goes, "Inflammable means flammable?
Yeah.
What a country."
Great line, and
great line,
true.
great delivery.
Also, why are there two
It is
words
true.
that mean the same thing?
I don't know.
And it's one of those lines that have stuck with us for 16 years.
Yeah.
17.
Oh, boy. And then Homer is kind of
Defeated.
distraught, defeated. He just throws away his thumb. He says, "Goodbye, old friend. We always knew it would come to this,"
I
which
love
is
that
another
too.
great
Yeah,
line.
Yeah.
Yeah, because it
How
won't
did you-
always come
how
to
do you know
this.
it's going to come to this?
And then Linguo's rocket head lands, and that's it.
My name's Thelonious.
As in monk?
Yes, the esoteric appeal is worth the beatings.
Hey, everybody, welcome to Worst Episode Ever, a podcast for people who love The Simpsons, by people who love The Simpsons, about how much we hate The Simpsons. We're here trying to find which is the worst episode ever. And as always, my name is Dan.
My name is Jack.
And today we're going to be watching an episode from Season 12 that originally aired April 29th, 2001. Jack, it's called Trilogy of Error. Have you seen this one?
Yeah, I've seen it pretty recently.
I also saw it pretty recently. I actually watched it not long before we started recording. So
there you go. So let's
we can just jump right into
right.
this one.
So that was Trilogy of Error.
Yeah.
Quick recap.
Give us a recap,
Plot
Jack.
of the cap.
A plot of the cap.
Plot of the cap. Cap of the repot.
Cap of the wee plot.
And just syllables and throwing them up in the air and mixing them
we
around.
could use a Linguo here, I think.
Yeah. So it starts off with Lisa doing yoga. Actually, it starts off with this garbage truck going by.
Right, which we don't have in New York.
No, we don't. It's I mean, it makes sense. I don't want to have like.
It does make sense. You don't want to have to go to the store and buy all these garbage cans.
Yeah,
but
no, it's
anyway.
just, I'm live free or die. I want to pick
Live
the kind
free
of
or die?
Nope, live free or die, and I want to have the garbage cans I want to have.
Yeah, I agree.
I don't need some state telling me.
Don't tell me what to do with my garbage.
Please.
My garbage, my choice.
What are they gonna do? Regulate garbage now?
Oh, God.
The government's garbage. That's what I have to say.
They're garbage people.
We need to drain that swamp.
Drain the swamps. What we're going to do. It's
and
going
then
to be
fill
great.
it back up with the same swamp water.
With even worse swamp water.
Worse swamp
I'll
water.
show you how bad things could get in this country.
So and there's a really funny line where Flanders the thing grabs Flanders' mailbox instead of the trash can next to the mailbox.
Yep.
And Flanders is watching from the window in his pajamas and just goes, "What the diddly?"
No. He goes, son of a
Oh,
diddly.
yeah, son of a diddly. I was thinking I just listened to What's the Dillio by Mest.
Oh, by Mest?
Yeah,
Oh, my
and
God.
I that's why I had that stuck in my head. You remember what's the
I
Dillio?
remember Mest.
Dillio? What's the deal? Deal.
That's the song, and you do not need to listen to it now. We saved you 3 minutes of your life.
So anyway, now it cuts to Lisa. She's doing yoga in the with like some new age music. Marge goes breakfast, and she comes down. Marge has some shitty oatmeal. Homer goes. Lisa goes, "I've got an idea to get us out of this."
Right.
Love this line. Homer says. I sure no, but I sure do want to go eat the. You get it. You get the
right,
joke.
with a wink, and it's funny.
So she goes and she shows Linguo this robot again, proving that for an 8-year-old, she's kind of a genius.
Yeah,
I mean, it's
definitely.
not like Screech level
not
AI.
Kevin.
It's not
Screech's
Kevin,
robot
but
Kevin.
it's up there. I would love to have a Linguo robot correcting my grammar.
Yeah.
So yeah, she introduces this Linguo, and basically she's trying to get to the science fair. She's very excited. She's got a winner, but she misses the bus. And she ends up hitching a ride with Krusty, with Teeny.
Yes.
Teeny's driving.
Well, she almost gets hit by Krusty's car.
Right, and she gets in. He takes her to the school. He drops her off, but he takes her to the wrong school, West Springfield
West
Elementary.
Springfield.
Yeah. And she meets this boy who's just like her. He's a nerd.
Yeah.
And they bond and they fall in love, basically, but she has to get to the science fair.
Right,
So
she
they
winds up
part
at
ways.
Moe's, too.
She winds up at Moe's, where she sees Wiggum, who's doing a stakeout. And Wiggum botches the stakeout, and Lisa leaves when she sees Marge for some reason in the outside of Moe's with in a Porsche. So Marge takes her to the school to get to the science fair in time, but they end up almost running over Bart.
Right, and that's how it ended.
Yeah. Basically, it ends with Bart almost getting run over.
Yeah. Let's talk a little bit about Linguo. There's a good scene where Homer feeds Linguo some beer. By the way, Linguo looked a lot like Bender. Did you notice that?
No.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
I thought maybe him drinking beer was like a Bender reference.
I mean, I drink beer. I don't look like Bender.
You do look a little bit like Bender.
I'm sorry.
You've told people to bite your shiny metal ass.
I have to start eating a lot of oatmeal because I am getting very round and my ass is getting very shiny.
I don't really like oatmeal. It's very plain. It's too bland.
Just mix it with some blueberries. It's very healthy.
Oh, okay. How about some cocaine? Do you put that on your oatmeal?
That's ridiculous.
Oh, okay.
So basically, I really like her interaction with Linguo, where she's fine tuning it, and Linguo starts correcting her grammar.
Yeah, I wrote it as Linguo's giving Lisa some sass.
Yeah, and Lisa has an ego. She is a brilliant 8-year-old,
right?
But she needs to be brought down a peg every once in a while.
Sometimes.
And I really did like that her own invention was correcting her, and she was getting frustrated at it, even though it was doing its job perfectly well.
Yeah.
And she started correcting the robot.
Right. I forget what she said, but Linguo just goes, sentence fragment, and she goes, sentence fragment is a sentence fragment.
Yeah, and she's not correcting him to make him better AI. She's
Right,
correcting
or
her.
she's
She was
just-
offended. Yeah.
Exactly, yeah.
And then
It's funny.
Linguo like does a side eye and just goes, have to conserve batteries.
Yeah.
Which is a great
It was
gag.
funny. One of my favorite gags, though, in this episode was Lisa realizes that she's late. She runs out. She's missed the bus. The bus is just pulling away from the curb. And it's science fair day. I'm laughing at it already. And you see Martin in the back of the bus, and he's holding...
He's darkly lit.
Yeah, and he's holding one of those, like, plasma lightning balls that
What
you
are
see
those
at
called?
Spencer
Not
Gifts.
Jacob's Ladder.
No, Jacob's Ladder is a little like...
Static nuts? Static balls?
Static nuts? It's not static nuts.
Statistical?
It's not a Van der Werf generator, but it's like something like that. It's some kind of generator.
Static nuts.
You're right. It's static nuts. What am I even
I think
arguing with
we
you
stole
for?
that from Simpsons Index. They call it a static nuts. We thought it was a good
Pop
name.
Index. But yeah, Martin is just there, and he's cackling like a supervillain, just like,
Well, and also
Good luck coming in first place now.
as he strokes it like an evil cat, like as
Yeah.
Blofeld
Like
would stroke his
Blofeld,
cat. The static makes his hair go. Oh, it's such a fun production.
It was so
I
well done.
dug the production in this, the
Yeah.
direction, the staging.
You know what? I was going to bring it up later, but yeah, I think this episode is exceptionally well animated. It's going to
Yeah.
do really, really
Who
well in the
direct-
production.
I don't remember who directed it. Was it
I
one
don't
of the
remember.
ringers?
Let's see, actually. I have that info right here. It was directed by Mike B. Anderson.
Ooh, I like him better than Mike C. Anderson.
Yeah, he's no
but
good.
not as good as Mike A. Anderson, if we're being honest.
Yeah, really. He's been directing since season 7 and is still directing now.
Oh God,
He
move
directed
on.
Lisa the Iconoclast. That was his first
Hey,
episode.
that's a great
That's a
episode.
great one. But yeah.
He's providing for his children and his children's children and his children's children
For 3 months. And then Lisa is now, she's missed the bus. She needs to get to
So
school.
she starts running.
She starts running, and they play the music from Run Lola Run, and it's kind of a direct parody of that movie, which, if you don't know what Run Lola Run is, it's a German movie from the 90s. It's kind of unique because it tells a story from multiple perspectives.
Yeah, although certain things change here and there, kind of like not Groundhog Day precisely, but
More like a
almost like parallel universes.
Edge of Tomorrow sort of thing. Like a sliding doors type situation, because I think in
Sure,
Run
yeah.
Lola Run, she runs one direction and then
Right,
shows
right,
you what
right,
would
right,
happen,
right.
and she runs the other direction and shows you what happened.
Anyway, it's a fun movie. The music, you told me, I really dug the music. I was assuming it was referencing Run Lola Run. You're saying it's the exact.
I think it
thing?
is the exact music from
Well, it
Run
fit
Lola
perfect.
Run.
It was really,
Yeah.
really catchy.
Yeah.
So basically she's running to get to the school. Is this where she almost gets hit by Krusty?
She almost gets hit by Krusty. She almost gets hit by a limo, and then Krusty gets out and is like, "Oh, you almost hit a key demo," which I like. That's exactly what Krusty would be worried about. And then he's like, "Come on, I'll drive you to school," which maybe a little out of character for Krusty to be so nice, but
right.
they shaded it in the fact that she's a viewer.
View key demo, yeah.
Yeah, I like
exactly.
that.
Whereas a post classic, maybe they wouldn't even bother with that. Yeah,
Exactly. It would just be like, "Come on, Lisa, I'll drive you." It's like, why would
probably my least favorite, and honestly, I really dug this. I can't believe how much I like this episode. So even the least favorite didn't really bother me. Now I'm nitpicking.
Yeah.
But were the teeny moments, I thought it was a little like, hey, he's a monkey. Huh?
Right, so Mr. Teeny, Krusty's monkey, is driving the limo, and he says, "Teeny, we need to get to the school, step on it," and Mr. Teeny just goes, and then there's like a
Well, no, this is where
subtitles.
Right.
Well, there's subtitles for that says, "I don't know what you're saying."
Well, I don't know what you're
I thought that
saying
was
is
funny.
when Wiggum pulls up.
Oh yeah, you're right.
So Wiggum pulls up and he's like, "Hey, Teeny, do you know how to get to 123 Fake Street?"
Yeah.
And then the monkey says, "I don't know what you're saying." That was fine.
I like that. I thought that was funny.
I do too. It was probably my least least worst teeny joke in the thing.
Yeah.
But I do like that Wiggum also says, "Hey, we got the same hat."
Yeah, that was
That's
funny
like,
too.
you know, innocuous Wiggum line.
Yeah, I mean, talking animals, like animals that have the intelligence of humans, you're breaking the show a little bit, but not,
a little bit.
you're not killing
you
me.
also have Lisa inventing a robot. So
That's true.
So anyway, they drop her off at the wrong school, like we said. They drop her off at West Springfield, which I guess is the Texas-sized
Right, well,
region of Springfield.
Yeah, I guess. We don't know it's West Springfield yet, though, because she walks into what should be Miss Hoover's classroom, and there's a French man teaching French. He's dressed as a stereotypical Frenchman with the black and white striped shirt. He looks like the Hamburglar, as all Frenchmen do. And he's teaching a French lesson, and she's just like, "Isn't this Miss Hoover's class?" And he's like, "This is West Springfield Elementary." Oh, ho, ho, ho. And then the class laughs at her.
Yeah, they go, ah, ha, 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 ha.
And then he says, "Oh, en français."
Great
Funny
gag. And one of those jokes that I remember 14. We always do. I forget.
I mean,
whenever it comes up, I en français.
Yeah. We took French in high school, so we, at the time, thought this was very funny.
Our French teacher did not dress like that. He dressed like a priest.
He dressed like a priest,
Because he
'cause
was.
that's what he was.
He was a brother. So she leaves the classroom and she bumps into this handsome young nerdy boy played by Frankie Muniz. I
Yes.
guess Malcolm in the Middle was already big at this time.
Thelonious was his name. And Malcolm in the Middle was huge at this time. It was on right after The Simpsons, so it makes sense
I
to
know.
have a
It's
little
why. It's
Malcolm
why I
tie-in.
didn't like Malcolm in the Middle at the time because
Really?
it bumped. You remember? I wouldn't watch it out of principle because it bumped Futurama to a 7:00 time slot.
Oh, yeah, I do
and I have a
remember this.
vast rule that new content, primetime content, should be 8:00 or later. 7:00.
Yeah.
7:00 is for Jeopardy.
Well, Futurama did not do well in the 7:00 time
No,
slot,
they
and that's
killed
why
it.
it went
Malcolm in the Middle killed it.
off the air many times.
Frankie
but,
Muniz killed Futurama.
son of a bitch. Frankie Muniz barely does anything in this role. It's just
I thought he did a good job.
he
as
does do a
male
good
Lisa.
job. Yeah. So he comes out and he's the one that tells Lisa, "Oh, all the schools in this area had the same architecture. Like that's why you're so confused. It looks exactly like your school." And then they bond over I.M. Pei, who's the famous architect. I like that.
Yeah,
That's a good
because Lisa has a nerdy
thing.
joke. She goes, "You know I am Pei? I am impressed."
Yeah, right.
Yeah, it's easy, but
Cute. Lisa would say that. I like it.
I like when your name is Thelonious after Thelonious Monk, and he goes, "It's esoteric but worth the beatings."
Yeah, exactly. I like that
It says
too.
a lot in one line right there.
And then it cuts to it does, and it
You don't have
cuts
to cut to him getting beaten. You just the backstory is there.
Yeah. But what they do cut to is, Lisa's obviously falling in love, and he's falling in love too. And then it cuts to a montage of them spinning, like a 6-second montage.
To So Happy Together.
Yeah.
And it's very quick montage.
It's very quick, and what's funny is we see Lisa, we see Thelonious, and it's like back and forth with them, and then it just cuts to Linguo, who's also spinning
their
with
spinning
them,
circle, yeah.
which I thought was awesome.
And
That was really funny.
Again, I know I'm praising giving the show a lot of praise, but they even got the 6-second montage right. It was short and brief. But it worked. It did exactly what it was supposed to do. It's like, look what a good time everybody's having, and here's one gag as a button with Linguo.
By the way, Linguo's still here, and it's funny.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, no, that's how a 6-second montage should be.
Right, and then Lisa realizes, she says, "We've been spinning for hours," which throws off the timeline of things a little bit.
Yeah.
But she says, "Will I ever see you again?" He says, "You have to get to the science fair. Don't sacrifice grades for romance. We'll meet again at the Magnet High School."
And that's heartbreaking. They really found soulmates, and they're putting the reason they're soulmates is because they love science, and they're putting science above their romance.
each other.
Yeah,
It's touching.
It is. I mean, I've got good news for both of them. High school will be in a blink of an eye, and then suddenly you'll be 32 years old and gaining weight and having to eat oatmeal to try to lose your
Hosting a
belly.
podcast and just
So
hating your life.
I'm assuming they got together and they're fine.
yeah.
Although I think Frankie Muniz got weird, so I don't know.
He did get a little weird. He collects cars, and he's like a car racer.
weirdo.
What a weirdo.
Cars.
Who collects cars?
I collect dictionaries of different languages.
You do.
So she gets the Moe's. I guess she's assuming Moe can help because it's a family friend.
No, I thought she was looking for Homer, and
That's
Homer
right,
wasn't
right.
there.
Homer's always at Moe's. Yeah.
Right. But yeah, so Homer's not at Moe's, but Chief Wiggum is. So
Yeah.
Lisa goes, "Chief Wiggum, would you drive me to school?" He's a public servant. Maybe
Yeah.
he'll help her out.
It's not really how the cops work.
It's not, but
he's doing a stakeout, and
he's got an undercover informant.
just like on Nash Bridges, which I thought that was a funny line because
great line.
it's funny for them to reference a kind of mediocre syndicated show.
Right, a shitty cop drama.
Although I watched a lot of Nash Bridges, I was a big Nash Bridges fan. I
Of
also
course you
watched
were,
its
Jack.
spin-off same universe show, Martial Law.
Yeah.
starring
With,
Sammo Hung.
Sammo Hung, yeah.
Had a great Arsenio joined season 2. It was great. It was a
Were
good
they,
show.
were they in the same universe as Walker Texas Ranger or no?
They were, yeah.
They were.
Yeah.
So there's a Walker verse.
I think they were. I know
I thought Nash Bridges was a spin-off of Walker.
it might be, yeah.
Yeah, all right.
And Stone Cold was in it a bunch of times.
Give me a hell yeah.
Hell yeah, he was.
All right. I'm glad you gave it to
There
me.
was also a really bad spin-off of Walker that didn't last more than a couple episodes called Sons of Thunder.
Oh, I vaguely remember
Yeah,
that.
about FBI guys.
Yeah. Why are they the Sons of Thunder? Are they the sons of Thor, the god of thunder?
I think that might be it.
All right, I would watch that show. But yeah, Wiggum has an undercover informant. Was talking to Fat Tony.
I didn't like this. So yeah, Lisa goes, "Is that Fat Tony I hear?" And Wiggum goes, "Oh, maybe. Let's ask him. Is that you, Fat Tony?" That's a little dumb. Too dumb for me.
It might be a little too dumb.
It's a little too because they need this for the plot, and
Yeah.
it's just like they couldn't have come up with a slightly more clever way of doing this. This is something they would do in season 28, where it's just like we need Fat Tony to realize that the wire is been
Right, so
heard,
let's just
so
have
we can
Wiggum
hear
say it.
gunfire.
Yeah.
And let's just have Wiggum say it. I wish there was he was leaning on the button or something and goes, "Yeah, we're doing a sting on Fat Tony." Something.
Yeah, actually, that would have been much better.
And it's so easy.
Most wires don't go two ways. Also,
it's for the best if you think about it.
It's intentional design right there for this exact situation. But we hear the informant.
Can you imagine if we could hear our podcast listeners now while we were recording? If it was a two-way,
we can because we've bugged all of our listeners because
that's-
we got to know what are they saying
we're
about
watching
us.
you through your connects.
Yeah, so
all three of them.
Don't put tape over your cameras because
No.
that's how we're watching you and getting our info.
If you're gonna put tape, buy it on Amazon.weepodcast.com.
That's the one.
And buy a special brand of We Studios approved tape.
Yes.
That is clear.
Don't worry about all the buttons and electronics that come along with it. Just plug that into your computer.
It's clear.
You need
And
that
it's
for the
also-
tape to work.
It also looks a lot like a GoPro.
It's just, and then send it back
it
to
has
us.
a giant beeping antenna attached, but it's good tape. It's the best
the
tape.
best.
It's #1 tape.
It's great tape. I use it. The NSA uses it for everybody. I think it's great. Everyone says it's great.
Hollywood won't use it. They think it's too elitist.
They think they're going to march against this tape, and they say they don't like this tape. But this is great tape.
I
Everyone
use it.
says
It also works as good boob tape. I put it on all the boobs of my Miss America 17-year-old girls I like to watch get naked.
Oh boy, now we're getting too far away from what we were talking about. The undercover informant gets shot, and I like that Lisa is then offered the job. She's like, Wiggum says, people trust you. You want to work as an undercover snitch? The pay's not great, but and then she's already gone.
Yeah. And I like too that I really do like all the Wiggum scenes in this because they're classic Chief Wiggum bumbling cop. It's
Yeah.
not Wiggum Lou Corner where
Right,
he's just
right,
having
right.
this weird over academic conversation with Lou.
Yes.
I really appreciate that.
Yeah,
So anyway,
definitely.
she runs out. She sees Marge is sitting out there in the Ferrari.
Right, Marge is
Or
sitting there in a
Porsche,
Ferrari.
Ferrari.
Lamborghini.
Ferrari, right?
Ferrarigini.
I think it was a Ferrari. I'm not sure. Anyway, she gets in and Marge goes, "I'll drive you."
Yeah.
So yeah, they run out of gas. They get on. So they steal Cletus's chicken truck.
Well, they sneak onto the back of Cletus's truck.
Yeah, they sneak onto it first. Homer's in the passenger seat.
Right. Homer's in the passenger seat, and Cletus says, Homer doesn't he says, "You want to see a magic trick?" And then he smashes Cletus's face with a pencil, and he goes, ta-da. No, that's not what happened. He says,
Nothing happened.
you want to know what I got these scars?
That's my Heath Ledger Joker, by the way.
It's very accurate.
You remind me of my father.
I'm like a dog chasing cars. I don't know what I'm going to do when I get one. But Homer says, it's a magic trick. He slides his thumb off because it's the thumb that he had cut off by Marge. And Cletus says, wow, that's amazing. You could be one of them TV magic queers.
Yeah, I don't have much to say about this. When did this air?
2001.
It shows you what along. We've talked about this ad
It's
infinitum
not,
here.
I think the joke of it is that Cletus is horrible and
well,
misguided.
he's backwards, and so. But I mean,
I don't know.
so
I'm being charitable
if
there,
you're
but-
watching like David Blaine or Chris Angel, and
Right.
they've got eye makeup on and they're all gothy, and if you're a hillbilly, I would obviously see
Yeah.
how the other
Yeah.
is gay and queer or
I
whatever.
don't think they would make this joke today.
I would hope not. I would hope not.
This is otherwise very funny episode. This is one joke
But it
that does not age well at all.
It doesn't surprise me coming from Cletus. If it came from Marge or something, would definitely stand out more. But
Absolutely.
we've gone into great detail about why this doesn't work and
Yeah.
why it's dated and why they did it and why it's sort of acceptable but not really.
Yeah.
I can't go to juvie. They use guys like me as currency.
Yeah, they'll pass you around like I like currency, like you said.
Hey, everybody, welcome to Worst Episode Ever. I love The Simpsons. You love The Simpsons.
We all love
hate The Simpsons. Whatever. We're finding the worst episode
all
ever.
here for ice cream.
Dan.
Jack's
here. We're talking about Trilogy of Error. It originally aired sometime in April. I don't care. 2001, I think. Season 12. Jack, did you see this one?
Yep, 20 minutes ago.
Yeah, me too. Let's jump right into it. You want to do the recap?
So that was Trilogy of Error.
It sure was, Jack.
So it opens up with the dawn, breaking dawn. It's basically that's where Twilight Part 4 came from.
Renesmee's running around. What a terrible name, Renesmee.
It's the whole thing. I
The
still
whole
haven't-
thing's
I think I
terrible.
haven't seen all of the last two Twilight.
Oh, I never saw any of them.
But it was so stupid.
Just cultural osmosis. I know what goes
I
on.
just can't imagine if you actually were a fan of Twilight and you're reading. It's like it's a pretty straightforward romantic vampire story, and then it just
Yeah.
goes batshit crazy in the last story.
Yeah, I think so.
That's our Twilight podcast for now.
That's it.
So it's dawn, and this garbage truck is coming, and it's picking up trash cans with its automatic claw.
Which we don't have in New York.
We don't have in New York. I saw it when I was the one morning I spent in LA. I was like, oh my god, that's a real thing.
Yeah.
You don't even think about it when you're watching it. You go, oh, is that a real thing? Until I saw it in person, I was like, oh, I get it. It's like how we don't have garbage disposals. There's always garbage disposal.
Some people do.
In New York?
I think
feel
in New
like
York
it's
people
a pretty
have it.
non-New York thing.
I
don't know why.
I'm trying to think if I ever have known someone
Maybe
with a
you
garbage disposal.
You
I
might
think
have too
I
many
have.
pipes, maybe.
There's too many pipes.
Too risky.
That's always New York's problem.
You don't want to get it clogged.
There's too many pipes in this town. We can't have no garbage disposals.
I only like pipes if I can take them to the warp zone.
It's me, Mario.
It's the Super Mario Brothers Super Show.
We're
Shake
the
your hips from side to side.
Let's do the Mario.
What's going on?
People listen to this.
Stupid fucking idiots can't even pronounce Mario right.
It's true.
They.
We got son of a diddly.
So Flanders goes, son of a diddly,
Son of a
because it
diddly.
accidentally grabs Flanders'
Mailbox.
Love that line.
Very
I love
funny.
that line.
Yeah.
So then it cuts to Bart. It's about Bart's day, and Bart's alarm clock is crusty, because of course he has a crusty alarm clock. And he goes, hey, wake up, and Bart doesn't wake up.
He hits
He
the
goes-
snooze.
He goes, yeah, so stop being lazy, huh? Get them, boys. And Itchy and Scratchy are extended out of the alarm clock
Yeah.
and start hacking.
I loved that. Yeah, they're
Right.
just hitting Bart in the face. I loved it. That's great.
It's like season 5, season 6, season 7 type of. It's really over the top, but it could still physically exist in the real world.
I mean, there are some alarm clocks that I don't
hit
know.
you in the
I don't
head
know if
with an
they'll-
axe.
I don't know if tiny cat and mouse will come out and hit you, but there's ones that are designed to not let you snooze. I don't need that. I wake up naturally.
I've tried to.
I wake up with the dawn.
I've been bad the last year or so, but I was doing really well for like a good decade, where I was like, I'm just not going to use the snooze. I'm just going to wake up as late as possible.
That's how you got fired from all of your jobs.
That and the showing my penis to everybody.
I think that was a help in your penis showing job, though.
It was great on the cruise gig.
Yeah, when you were our penis model briefly, that was.
they never saw a penis like mine. Until the horrible accident.
Until the horrible accident, of which we will say no more.
Yeah, you read about it in my memoir, Phantom of the Penis.
There you go. That's exactly right. So Bart is at at breakfast. They're eating this muesli thing.
Yeah,
that Marge
Milhouse
has.
starts ringing the doorbell.
Right, so
something important.
Well, yeah, he says, Milhouse says, you want to see something cool? And he says, it is a dead body. And Milhouse goes, no, it's cooler than a million dead bodies.
That is such a great line. Because
Yeah.
million dead bodies, horrible.
Horrible.
But for 10-year-old boys, of course it would be cool. It's like that dead alien they were poking with a stick.
Yeah, right.
Great line. There's so much of this really. I mean, I know it's season 12. I know it's pretty early. It's Purgatorio.
Yep.
So much of it reminds me of classic era.
Yeah, I think this episode's going to fare pretty well.
If this is Purgatorio, this is like the top level of the mountain, because Purgatorio is a mountain.
Okay.
And you make your way up the levels.
Yeah,
and
yeah.
I'm guessing the top of the mountain is closest to the Paradiso.
Sure.
So this is like high up. This is
just
like Base Camp 4.
There you go. Base Camp 4.
Possible
where we
name
are.
of the episode.
Possible name of the episode. And yeah, so they take bikes. I don't know how Milhouse got to the Simpson house, because he doesn't have his bike. They have to steal Lisa's bike.
I guess he walked. He's probably not that far away.
I don't know. Well, supposedly he had just found. What they ultimately go to is fireworks in a cave. Supposedly
Maybe he
just
found it
found
the night before.
What
was he doing in this
your
cave? What was he doing in this cave at 7 in the morning?
There are a lot of questions about Milhouse here.
Was he crying?
I don't know. Maybe
He went to the cave to cry, because that's where I go.
I find it hard to believe that Milhouse, a 10-year-old boy, would find a cave full of fireworks, sleep on it for a day, and then go tell Bart Simpson about it.
If you find something cooler than a million dead bodies, you don't sleep on that. You let the world know.
Let the world know. Hey, man, there are firecrackers in a cave. But yeah, they steal Lisa's bike. Bart has the key. He also has like Flanders' key and Skinner's key. It's a funny gag that Bart would have everyone's keys.
Of course, it's great. It reminds me of where Bart needs the car keys, and he's like, I got my own set.
Yeah, right. Great. And Bart would, Bart's Bart. Bart's an underachiever and proud of it.
They should make that his catchphrase.
That should be a thing.
Should be on T-shirts.
And then they get out to the caves where there's these things, and I love that they crawl into the cave. This is what Milhouse wanted to show Bart, and Bart is just like, wow, sacks, burlap sacks.
Yeah,
I like that.
It was decent. It wasn't one of my favorites.
But what it actually is, it's filled with fireworks and firecrackers, and we get a quick montage of them like blowing stuff up with fireworks. They blow up a bunch of gnomes.
I gotta say, I loved the production in this episode.
Yes,
this is gonna be a good high ranking, and it's not just the visuals of the firecrackers blowing up gnomes and stuff. The music in this was pitch perfect. It was. We've probably heard it before. It was very Alf Clausen-esque Simpsons music, but it was so fun and playful. Because it's Bart and Milhouse having fun with fireworks. The music for this entire scene was so upbeat and lively, and this was a very fast-paced, lively episode. Yeah. And it just fit so perfectly.
Agreed. And even later, when they're in the caves, they were in the cave in the beginning, but they go back to the cave at the end. The animation was so great, like the lighting and the way that all of the shading was done was spectacular.
A lot of great lighting in this episode.
Someone had posted on our Facebook, or not our Facebook page, our Reddit page, a video comparing old Simpsons to new Simpsons and how it's different because it's computer animated. And like this was textbook old style hand drawn animation. You could tell.
You're right.
The love.
Yeah, I wonder what this would have looked like. It probably wouldn't have held up with the HD. Who knows? I
mean,
it's got everything else going for it. Maybe.
Yeah. But yeah, there's a few things.
Yeah, the fireworks jokes. Anything pop out for you?
There was a scene where they shoot a bottle rocket at Fort Frag, where a bunch of military people are training, and then the firework goes off, and they all scream like little girls, and it's like, get it!
So
that kind of a thing.
I didn't mind this joke because we come across awkward gay jokes on the show from time to time, where they just drop the Q word and stuff like that. But this one felt a little subversive to me because as much as I appreciate the armed forces and all they do for our country, they are a symbol of an American institute, of the government, of this institution that kind of this authoritarian thing. So there is something subversive about saying, "Hey, what a bunch of gays, huh?"
Right.
Now that questioning, is that an insult that they're gay? No, of course not.
Yeah, I mean, I'm not even sure that is the joke, or is it just saying the military's a bunch of babies? That kind of thing.
Something like that. But I feel like you're right. There's something
there's a
subversive.
lispy, like stereotypical gay voice that the army guy makes.
You would think they would be all macho about it, and they're not. And that's why, it's basically like an update of the steel mill gag. Oh, be nice.
Right.
To me, that's, maybe I'm wrong, but to me that feels less offensive than somebody just calling somebody a queer for no reason.
Yes, I would agree with you.
So I laughed. I chuckled at that joke.
Yeah, and another thing they do is, I forget why, but they set the bicycle on fire. I guess it was Lisa's bike, the wheel, and that's what
I think it was to make them just make a rocket bike. It looked cool.
Oh, right, yeah.
It propels them. It looks cool. It was great animation, great production.
Oh, definitely. And what happens is the wheel flies off of the rocket bike and goes through the window of Dr. Nick's, where it lands on a can of ether. The sea captain was in there getting penis surgery, I guess? Because it was
can't all be born with perfect penises like me.
Well, because that's true. You are a penis model. But Dr. Nick was like, do you want me to make it longer or wider? And the sea captain was like, yeah, both.
Why would you not pick both?
I don't know.
Well, I guess I don't need a
pencil dick.
I don't need a wide penis.
Like a Coke can.
I want to get it through the fly. I don't want to have to unbutton and pull my pants down.
It's a big pain.
Which I've been doing a little bit lately since I switched to my keychain on the zipper, and I feel like a 9-year-old when I'm standing there with pulling my pants down.
I've seen at work. I've seen grown men in suits just undo their whole pants, and they're just. I can't remember who.
Bizarre. I was having a discussion where people were like, yeah, no, I never stick my penis through the underwear flaps or the zipper. No, I always.
That's why they're there.
It's not complicated.
Ladies, if you don't know what we're talking about, ask your father. He'll tell you all about it.
Daddy, how do you take your penis out when you pee?
How do you go to a urinal?
But yeah, no, apparently that's a thing. It's not like a controversy. You're one or the other.
That's so weird.
I
it's
was
there.
I
to
just
be
found this
used.
out weeks ago. I
That's
was shocked.
disturbing.
Yeah,
I don't know.
I think that's even weirder than peeing sitting down because peeing sitting down sometimes has a reason.
Peeing sitting
sometimes
down.
your legs hurt. Sometimes your feet are tired.
You know,
dogs are barking.
When I wake up in the middle of the night and I have to go to the bathroom, I
yeah.
sit down to pee.
Yeah,
because
90% of the time. Yeah,
I'm not turning on lights. I'm trying not to wake up as much as possible.
I'm like drunk when I wake up sometimes in the middle of the night where
Sometimes,
I have no balance. Like I'm stumbling around.
Yeah, I don't want to be standing there dealing with lights and peeing. I sit down and I pee, and I'm proud of it, Jack.
Yeah, no, you don't want to have a rusted out radiator next to the toilet.
Yeah, definitely.
May have been something we had growing up with a great grandfather who didn't have the best aim at 96.
Oh boy, then you just get hot piss everywhere. I think, Jack, this may be the first iteration of Wiggum Lou Corner that we've seen.
Yeah,
we've been trying to figure out the first one.
We've been trying to find the earliest one, and it's a shame because there's so many great Wiggum jokes in this episode, and I was like, this is classic Wiggum. This is Wiggum doing his incompetent but jolly cop thing.
Yep.
And then we get a Wiggum Lou Corner, and as the first, it's not the biggest offender. Basically, they're going to storm 123 Fake Street because that's where the fireworks spray. It's a big deal. They got to stop them.
Right.
So they go to. Oh, actually, somebody called in and said they were.
I think someone they thought there was an attempted murder there.
Exactly. So that's why they're there, and they're about to storm in. And Lou goes, "Hey, Chief, can I hold my gun sideways style?" And Wiggum goes, "Anything for the birthday boy." And it's like this really doesn't have a purpose except for Lou is saying something kind of silly, and then Wiggum has this geniality with Lou on top of that, like anything for the birthday.
Yeah,
this is definitely an iteration of Wiggum Lou Corner.
It is.
It's
but certainly not as bad as it
it's
becomes
not like,
later.
Hey, what's the deal? Why do you? That's a funny word. Why do you say it like that? It's not there yet, but it's getting there. Like anything for the birthday. What's going on here? It sticks out.
It didn't bother me here, but it was noticeable in the sense that it wased that funny. It wasn't bad.
Right.
But it was just kind of
It
stopped everything for a moment.
It has nothing to do with the story.
Yeah.
It being Lou's birthday, it doesn't tie in or anything.
Right.
Yeah, I think this has earned a Wiggum Lou Corner.
Wiggum Lou Corner.
Yeah. Although then there is another great classic Wiggum line that follows it right up again. Like again, just cut out the Wiggum Lou Corner stuff and just have these great lines that are integrated into the plot. Where basically they find Barton. They weren't looking for Bart and Milhouse, but they found him.
Bart and Milhouse were hiding at 123 Fake Street after blowing up Dr. Nix.
And Wiggum threatens to arrest them, and he's going to send them to jail. And like, no, not jail. They'll toss us around like currency.
Right.
And Wiggum goes, not just that. They'll toss you around like currency, like you said. Like currency, like you said. That was such a great Wiggum line. Great Zaria delivery.
Great moment.
One of my favorite lines of the episode.
There was also, I think it was Lou who just referred to the fireworks as Chinese sky candy, which is just, I kind of like that. No?
Lou, again with the Asians, Lou?
No, that's true.
Why is all his references Asian?
That's a good
Is
point.
this before? Actually, this might be after worst episode ever. Worst episode ever might be the earliest Wiggum Lou
This is
Corner.
worst episode ever, Jack.
No, the comic book guy, Agnes
that
Skinner.
was probably earlier in season 12.
So
So
maybe
maybe season 12.
Worst episode ever, and season 12 in general might be the earliest
you might be right.
iteration.
So because of their being on the run and all the fireworks,
They agree to be CIs, basically.
Right.
Bart and
Wiggum
Milhouse.
drafts them into being snitches. So we get the scene of Homer, Bart, and Milhouse are talking to Fat Tony, and then Wiggum fucks it up by saying, "Hey, is it you, Fat Tony?"
Really dumb. This is even worse than the Wiggum Lou Corner. This is just being dumb to get the plot going.
Yeah.
They need Bart to get figured out by Fat Tony.
Yeah.
They could have come up with something better, some kind of feedback. Maybe Wiggum is also using the radio to call for a pizza or something, and he uses the wrong frequency. Something.
They could have done something. But then Bart does a quick thinking, and he lights a string of fireworks, and it sounds like guns
so
going
Wiggum
off.
thinks they're having a gun.
So someone
gunfight.
might have thought it was guns and an informant getting shot.
But just
then,
fireworks.
Then they're just running through the cave. They're all holding sparklers, which
Sparklers
is a great
as
visual.
torches.
Yep.
Such a great, clever idea.
Great.
It's not just there for no reason. Everything is so integrated in this episode.
Yeah. And that's when they're running through the caves. They run through the sewers. They pop out of the manhole cover. And that's when Marge hits Bart, does actually hit Bart's head
She
with the car.
stops just short, and then the bumper just gives him a nice
Just
clonk.
a little tap, and
on
he
his
just goes,
big
"Ow."
forehead. Yeah. It stings, like it must hurt.
Yeah.
But there's just something funny about the light tap.
Yeah,
It
definitely.
was very well executed.
So then Bart and Milhouse are with Marge and Lisa, and the Fat Tony and Legs and Louie, they catch up with them, and It ends up happening where Bart and Milhouse are trapped at the end of an alley. They have no escape. The mob is right behind them, and then Lisa and Marge are right after them. So Lisa...
Is it Lisa or Marge? One of them...
Marge throws Linguo. It's the only thing they have. The mob is like, they're throwing robots.
Which is great.
Which is a great line. It's amazing.
They are, and it's a funny line.
Yeah, and then...
robots.
And it does help. They're able to get away because then Linguo just
Starts
begins correcting their grandma.
Well, I was just about to say I was a little offended that Italian Americans don't have bad grammar, but
They got some bad grammar.
but apparently
Over there.
we don't know how to speak over here.
Well, it's pretty great because Fat Tony's like, yeah, get the robot. And he's like, I'm going to hit you upside of the cabanza. And then Linguo just goes, error.
Yeah, it just overloads him with bad grammar.
But ultimately, Linguo is blown up by the fireworks and his head goes flying into space and lands by Homer.
Yeah, and Homer says he says his goodbyes. He says his line with the thumb, and then I guess they cut back to the alley.
So yeah, Fat Tony gets arrested.
Can I say, when we're in this alley, this is when it really occurred to me just how much fucking plot is crammed into this episode.
Yes.
Like I said, it is Arrested Development. It had 60 scenes. This is a 20-minute episode. There's so much going on. There's still room for jokes, mainly because they're integrated and you're not stopping the episode cold too often. But you got Fat Tony, you got the mob, you got Wiggum, you got Cletus, you got Hibbert and Dr. Nick. You're getting all Mose. You're getting all these random Springfield cavalcade of characters here.
Yeah, oh yeah.
And it's so tight.
It's very tightly
I'm
plotted.
so impressed.
You know, we're revisiting different locations several times, and maybe the timeline doesn't super work well.
Yeah, so obviously the three vignettes are cutting back and forth, and I think if you were to map it out with some kind of diagram, the time doesn't like Homer gets drunk too quickly in Lisa's segment, and
yeah, because we see Homer drinking, and then there's like a time fade, and then suddenly he's saying the thing about the Blue Man Group, which then later Lisa and Marge hear it from outside of Moe's, and it was like 2 seconds after Marge got there, so it doesn't work so well, and Lisa's spinning with Thelonious, and they say for hours, and then meanwhile it's still the morning. Homer just had his thumb cut off.
Yeah, they're just getting to Moe's. But whatever. That's
nitpicking because ultimately it ties together really well.
I would say so. This entire episode is a parody of Go, mostly. Right?
Mostly a parody
you
of
even
Go.
said the name of the.
Originally, this episode was going to be titled "Go Simpsons Go."
Now I like Go. It gets a lot of bad flack because it's basically a ripoff of Pulp Fiction.
Go, if you don't know, it's a movie from the '90s with Scott Wolf and
great William Fichtner lines.
William Fichtner, what's her face? Sarah Pauly? Pauly? What's her name?
It's not a pyramid scheme. It's not Amway. He's so good in it. Yeah, Sarah Pauly's one of her first roles. Katie Holmes, Timothy Olyphant.
Katie Holmes, right. Yeah, great movie if you haven't seen it. Check it out.
It's fun. I wouldn't call it great, but it's fun.
Well, it's a Doug Liman movie.
But
It's fun watch.
Yeah, sure. That was his breakout, I guess, after Swingers. So it wasn't his breakout.
It was his second breakout.
So, but there are three vignettes, and they don't tie in very much. The second one pretty much has nothing to do with anything except for maybe like a couple crossover moments.
Right.
The third one doesn't really tie in at all either until the very end, and then that ties everything in. It's pretty self-contained.
It's similar to this episode in that it starts off with there's three characters, really. There's three characters.
There's three characters.
And then they spin off into their own solo adventures. Of that day, and they kind of loosely tie together to other things that are happening.
And the word Go works because it is very fast-paced. It's got a techno soundtrack.
This episode is much more tightly paced than Go, and it needs to be much more tightly plotted because you only have about 7 minutes with each day.
I guess the timing, does make it more
like I said, they're hitting a lot of the same locations, and they're kind of interacting with each other a lot more than they did in Go or even
as much as I like Go, I think that gimmick is a lot stronger when they do what this Simpsons episode did, where you do actually, it's not just 3 short films. They really are tying it together.
So this episode wraps up. Fat Tony gets arrested, and as luck would have it, Legs is actually a mob doctor.
Yeah, makes
sense. He is able to sew Homer's thumb back on, resolving the debt with Bart, I guess, for some reason.
They should have got him to star in that CBS 10 p.m. drama, The Mob Doctor. That didn't do too well.
Did not do too well. And I love that becomes Lisa's science project because now Linguo is dead.
Linguo is dead.
Linguo is dead.
That's another line that's always stuck.
Yeah. Oh yeah. But yeah, Lisa wins the science fair.
Another great production moment. So when Legs reattach, that's ironic. Legs reattaches thumbs.
That's true.
When Legs reattaches Homer's thumb, it's like this pale Wendell White.
It had been sitting in brine. Yeah.
And then it slowly just fades it back into yellow. And
I didn't even notice that.
And Lisa's like, as the circulation and the blood, it was such a nice. They didn't have to do it, and it It was just looked so nice. It was seamless.
I didn't notice it, but yeah, that's great. And then Lisa's like, and now there'll be weeks and weeks of arduous therapy, which we don't see. But it ends with Mr. Teeny is there for some reason, jumps into Marge's arms, and Marge just says, "That was one crazy day, right, Mr. Teeny?" And then he just goes, and it says, "This plot made no sense. Tell the people." Which isn't true. As we were just saying, this is a very tightly plotted episode.
I was so into this episode. Like,
Yeah.
I was really into it, and it was a shame for the. You're going to have some stinkers. Every episode does. It was a shame for me to have my least favorite moment end it. It was kind of left a sour taste in my mouth.
I mean, I was fine
It
with
breaks
Mr.
the fourth
Teeny.
wall. Teeny talking. It's not a joke. It's just him pointing it out.
Well, I feel like in seasons 11 and 12, there were a lot of jokes about, like, we've been going on for, like, 12 years. Like, how much longer can we go? And I feel like around, like, season 15 or something, they were like, okay, we're going to be making this show until we're all in the fucking ground. So we should stop making those kinds of jokes.
Right.
And now, in retrospect, them being like, this plot makes no sense, they didn't even know the tip of the fucking iceberg.
That's not even the first half of the show.
Like, Bart hadn't gotten any teachers pregnant
it
yet
is the
through
first half of the
voodoo.
show.
Bart hadn't, I don't even remember
Killed that
other...
guy.
Yeah. The Simpsons hadn't been on many reality shows.
I think it's like on a space planet in
on
space.
a space planet in space, yeah. But yeah, so contrary to Mr. Teeny, I think the plot did make sense.
Yeah, I agree that it did make sense. In fact, it made it great. It really, not only was I saying how tightly plotted and how fast moving, they did such a great job having everybody come together. The fact that Legs is a mob doctor, that
It was like a Seinfeld episode where everything tied back
exactly.
together.
Whereas if we watch so many episodes that we cover on the show where there's just all these Deus Ex Machinas, and this was there was no Deus Ex in this. Everything came from something else. It was great. It tied in really well. It's a shame. I just really didn't like that Teeny line, and for that to be the very end of the show, it just left a sour taste in my mouth. I also, one thing we didn't really talk about is the rhythm of it. I like that there was a rhythm to the repetition. They really only did the repetition in the very beginning because that's eventually everything branches off into their own
right,
timelines.
and they sped it up, and they
Right.
they
But
didn't give you the whole, hey everybody, worst episode ever.
As funny as I love the line, son of a diddly,
Yeah.
it also worked as like a musical beat.
Yes.
Son of a diddly, son of a diddly. Like that phrase
Yeah.
itself is musical. So there was like a musical rhythm to those opening. You got the trash can
And
club.
it was funny every
And
time.
it's a funny
Son of
line
diddly.
every time.
It was just
yeah.
funny.
So it reminds me of like the Coen Brothers, A Serious Man. They have a trailer where they just take clips from the movie and they start repeating them and playing them to a rhythm.
Yeah.
Kind of like a stomp type thing, except with words.
Right.
And that's what there was a really fun rhythm to this episode.
Agreed.
The direction was great. The scenes in the background of like when Marge takes Cletus's truck and you don't know it's Marge yet, and you just see the truck leaving in the background. All the staging. That's what I'm looking for. The staging was really
great.
well. Homer in the park, way outside of city limits for some reason. That's
Yeah.
a great way to show this explosion in the distance, and Linguo's head comes and lands there. There's a million ways you could have directed that shot, and that shot, that frame seems to have fit perfectly. It's like, what's going on way over there?
Completely
the story.
agree with you. Yeah.
Everything was so well done in this episode.
It worked really, really well. And I think
even. Yeah, it's the flammable. Even the flammable, flammable. I thought flammable
Right.
means inflammable.
yeah, we get the joke before the setup
before
for it,
the setup.
basically.
That's
Yeah.
great.
Yeah.
That's like the backwards Seinfeld episode.
Yeah, right.
Be more like Seinfeld is what
Be
we're trying
more
to
like
say.
Seinfeld. We love Seinfeld. All right, Jack, so that's going to do it for Trilogy of Error from Season 12. It's time to put 2 minutes on the clock
Son of a diddly.
because we're going to time... nope, those aren't words that make sense in this context. It's time to rank this episode on our Hippo scale. We're looking at the humor, the integrity, the production values, and the originality. So let's jump right into it on a 0 to 5 scale, Jack. The humor of this episode. What do you got?
I think I'm going to go 4. I'm tempted to go 4.5, but there's a lot of funnier classic episodes.
I'm pretty
in
tempted
this.
to go 4.5.
I'm tempted, but it's because we're still riding the high. It's not objectively as funny as those
sell
season
me
7.
on why I shouldn't give it a 4.5.
I could think of some
this is
lesser
really
season
funny.
5, 6, 7 episodes that would be a 4.5.
I guess you're right. I'm going to give it a 4 then. I may go
I
up
think
to
we're just a
4.5.
little. I think we're still a little close to the high of finally seeing a really good episode.
Yeah, I think you might be right. I don't believe either of us have given a 4.5 in humor to anything so far.
4.5s and 5s to me are what the classic.
That's classic. Yeah. So we'll give it a 4. The integrity of this episode, what are you thinking?
Like I said, I loved Wiggum was being Wiggum, except for that brief Wiggum Lou corner. Even Krusty bringing Lisa into the limo made sense for Krusty. Wasn't crazy about Teeny.
Yeah.
Marge being Marge, stealing a truck for Homer, Homer getting drunk but not being a jerk ass. Lisa, I love Lisa's little that's one of the better love storylines I've seen with Lisa.
It's brief. It doesn't even come back, but that's fine. It's just, it was a nice little... If you got to have Frankie Muniz, that's a great use of him.
The one thing I would say is we also count emotional impact, and this is a high concept episode that doesn't have that, so I'll deduct a little 4. I was going to go 4.5. I'm deducting because it's high concept and there's no emotion in it.
You talked me out of 4.5 on humor. You will not talk me out of 4.5 on integrity, Jack.
So
I'm
you
going
think
4.5.
you think it's a perfect episode except with no emotion? You think the character integrity is perfect?
I think the character integrity is great. I mean, it's spot on. There's not a lot of scenes where, where anyone's acting out of character. Even Marge stealing the car made sense in the story and for the character.
Yeah, I agree. But there's no emotion, and this is also our emotion category.
I mean, I'm not going to fault it that much for that. Sometimes you don't need emotion. You just want to watch a good episode of the show.
But you have to fault it. That's the category.
No,
That's what the category's for.
You can't tell me what to do.
You bump the other categories up. That's why
I'm
you
doing
break it. That's why you break it up
Jack.
into subcategories. I could go 4.5 because I do think the integrity is
You're
really
talking
strong.
me out of it, now talking yourself into it.
I know I could go 4.5, but you can't. You have to take off points for integrity.
I'm taking some points off. I'm not giving it a 5.
All right, so you're saying it's a 5 in character integrity, and you're saying 0.5 for no emotion.
If that helps you, sure.
All right.
The production values of this episode.
Again, I'm torn between 4 and 4.5. The music, the staging, the direction. I don't know. I'm trying to separate this from storytelling because the writing was so tight.
Yeah.
4.5 seems high to me, even though it also seems right.
I don't. I'm giving this episode a 5 in production, which has only happened.
There's better directed episodes.
They are also 5s, Jack. This episode is so well executed. Like this is an ambitious episode. You want to talk about an ambitious episode of The Simpsons?
Right, I'll go 4.5.
I'm giving it a 5. That's only the second 5 that any episode has ever gotten. I also gave Halloween of Horrors a 5.
That's ridiculous. You grade too high.
I don't grade too high. That is a well animated episode, and so is this one. And the originality, finally, 0 to 5. What do you got?
0.
You're right, 0. Fuck this episode. We've seen these thumb-cutting Linguo episodes before.
You're spoofing Run Lola Run. You're spoofing Go. Pick a movie. It's a fairly original. I guess I'm going to take a 0.5 off because it's parodying movies, so it's not by definition.
I don't know if that's worth taking points off.
That's the category, Dan. The category is called originality. Is it original? No.
Well, but it's original in what they're doing. I mean, we were just talking. It's arguably better than Go at doing what Go was trying to do.
Yes, and that's why I'm going to give it a very high grade. I'm also going to give it a very, very high grades for the storytelling, the writing. It's so well written. But I'd give it a 5, and I'm subtracting a 0.5 because it's not original, the name of the category. It wouldn't have existed if there wasn't a Go and a Run Lola Run.
Well, okay, but by that logic, no episode is original because everything's been done before.
No, there's original ideas.
What about Marge vs. the Monorail?
That would not get a 5. We get a 4.5.
What episode would get a 5, Jack?
I can never pull things out of a hat. Give me an episode.
Homer's Odyssey.
That's the Odyssey. That's a 4.5.
You're right. It was a beat-for-beat parody of the Odyssey.
The Bart's Comet.
Bart's Comet gets a 5.
Yeah.
Even though it's just like all those Doomsday episodes, like Twilight Zone episodes about bunkers.
It's not a parody of any of those movies. Well, maybe the bunkers. All right, 4.5.
No, I think you're wrong. I think you're being too harsh. I'm going to give this a 5.
The Shelbyville episode. Lemon of Troy. Well, I guess that's an aid with the Trojan horse.
I'm going to give this episode a 5 in originality.
You're grading too high. 4.5.
Because I think that this is, again, so well done. We've not seen anything like this before or since on the show. This is really a one-of-a-kind episode.
Here's what I'm going to do. Maybe. We'll see. I might bump integrity up to 4.5. I'm not giving any 5s.
You're just never going to give a 5.
I will when we cover classic episodes.
All right, so we have crunched our numbers, and Trilogy of Error from Season 12, surprising not me, surprising probably not you, Jack, has ranked as our new LWEE, our least worst episode ever. Unseating Halloween of Horrors. It is now number 93 on our list.
It didn't surprise me 5 minutes into watching the episode.
Yeah.
It surprises me in that I didn't see this coming when I woke up. When I woke up this morning, I wasn't saying I'm going to come up with the new least worst episode ever with my buddy Dan.
All right, let's do it.
No, I expected it to do decent because it was season 12.
Yeah,
I'm shocked at how well this episode did, and I don't think If anything, I was I was a little conservative.
Yeah, I mean, I think this is
And
a great
if anything,
episode.
you were probably a little.
I don't think so.
A little
I think,
liberal.
I think
you were a little liberal.
in the pantheon of great Simpsons episodes. This is up there, even if it is after 2000.
I think you were a little liberal, and I was a little conservative.
Oh, boy. All right, guys, so thanks so much. That's going to do it for this episode of Worst Episode Ever. If you like what you hear, you can get all of our old episodes at weepodcast.com. That's weepodcast.com. While you're there, you can also get 90s Percentile. That is our other podcast. That's much better than this one if you haven't listened to it yet, and a lot of you haven't.
And it's
So
a lot
please do.
easier for us to do.
It's so much easier for us
Listen
to
to
do.
that one if you're going to listen to just one.
Yep. And while you're there, you can also click our Amazon banners and our links, and that helps keep the show free. Just click the banners, shop like you normally would on Amazon. If that's too much work, you can just go to amazon.wepodcast.com. That'll take you right to Amazon. That helps us out. We get a small cut of whatever you buy. Also, if you're on wepodcast.com, you can sign up for our newsletter, which is pretty new.
Poor
It's pretty
Jack and
exciting.
Dan's Almanac.
That's right.
That's what we're calling it.
Maybe we should rename it that.
Poor Jack and Dan's Almanac.
No, we shouldn't actually. I like that you brought it up, and then I'm jokingly saying it should be that, and you're like, no, what? Of course not.
Don't take me seriously. I don't know what I'm doing.
Sign up for
I'm
that.
completely lost in my life. None of my ideas are valid.
We're going to send out a newsletter probably every other week with just what we've been up to lately, some exclusive stuff.
Some clever maxims like a stitch in time times 9. And
We'll tell you when it's going to
stink
rain.
in 3 days.
That's right. It's true, it will.
It's like a house guest.
All right, I just was a little worried where you're going with that.
It's like the Poor Richmond.
Yeah, no,
song.
I know what Paul Richard's Almanac is, Jack.
Did you say Poor Richmond?
I know Paul Richmond, too. You know Paul?
No.
Hey, I'm Paul Richmond.
No.
Nice to meet you.
No, go.
I sound a lot like Freet. He's my brother.
Oh, I was gonna thought it was like his alias, like John Johns is John Jones, right? What's John Johns?
John Jones, yeah. You're talking about the Martian Manhunter?
Of course I am.
Not just John Jones who lives down the street.
Well, who, me? It's me, John Jones.
It's me, Paul Ryan. What was his name?
I'm the Speaker of the House.
We have got to end this episode.
I think I said we should just call it moratorium on the voices. I got really happy for a second.
No moratorium on the voices.
Just no voices.
Why would we ever do that? People love them.
If we retire all the voices permanently, I'll give a 5.
All right. Well, I don't care if you give a 5 because I'm giving them out freely. And that's going to be it for this episode. If you're in the Brooklyn area, you can come to Woohoo Classic Simpsons Trivia. It's today. If you're listening to this the day it comes out.
Hurry
right now.
Go. Run, Lola, run.
There you go. It's going to be at the King's Beer Hall in Brooklyn. So just Google Woohoo Classic Simpsons Trivia for more about that. I host it with friend of the show, Dan Ozzie.
And I'm going to hold like 3 seats for a good hour, so don't give me looks.
Yeah, that's
my
don't
coat's
give Jack
there.
looks. He needs that coat for a reason.
They're going to come. They're coming.
They said they were coming.
It's really hard to hold a table when it's a big, giant one table.
It is. It's tough. It's like a beer hall
I can't really
type
claim
situation.
it the way.
But it's a great spot. It's a great night. Check it out if you are in the area. Tons of podcast listeners have come and had fun.
And tons haven't.
And tons have not. And if you like the show, please rate us on iTunes. Give us a 5-star. Don't give us a 4-star or a 3 or a 2
Don't give
or
us
a
a
1.
4.5. Round up to 5.
Round up to 5.
Be an easy grader like Dan.
Even Jack gives 5s when it comes to rating this show on iTunes.
I did. I gave it a 5 as Jack Pacone.
And we're going to be back in 2 weeks. We're going to watch another episode. Jack, this one causing a bit of a stir recently.
Should we rap the name of the title?
Nope.
Chicka boom, chicka boom, chicka boom.
Oh, man.
My name is Jack, and I'm here to say we're going to do another episode today. By today, I mean in 2 weeks. It's Christmas, no peaks.
We're going to do an episode from season 28 that we were actually on Canadian radio to talk about. It's called The Great Fatsby. It just aired. It's the first hour-long episode.
Oh, boy.
Hopefully we don't have to do an extra-long episode of WE because it's already a very long show as it is. But we're going to check it out. I know a lot of you guys on Reddit were talking about it, so we wanted to see it ourselves. And if you want to discuss the show on Reddit, it's reddit.com/r/worstepisodeever.
Fun conversations there. Join us.
Yes. And that's going to do it for...
Don't talk about other podcasts.
Don't talk about other podcasts. We'll cut your dicks off.
That's what happened. That was my accident. I came to you and I was just like, hey, Simpsons Index, not a bad show. And you cut my penis right off.
Snip.
You said you tell anybody this was an accident.
And that was the end of your penis modeling career. That's going to do it for this
now
episode.
I have to sit down while I pee.
That's going to do it for this episode of Worst Episode Ever. Jack, how do we always end the show?
Well, like my penis, cut all this.
He's throwing robots.
They are throwing robots.
Is disrespecting us. Shut up, you face!
Shut up your face.
What's the matter, you?
You ain't so big.
Me and him are gonna whack you in the labanza.
Bad grammar overload. Error.